aka PT Sports 84. Going around the NBA for last night's action, which was October the 20th, 2022. We had two games on the slate. The Philadelphia 76ers were at home against the Milwaukee Bucks in game one. It's hard not to be disappointed if you're a Sixers fan like myself. Honestly, we're getting James Harden that shows glimpses of 2018 James Harden in a sense, but he's also like a little bit of a different player. Like he doesn't have to do some of the same things he did as far as forcing shots and things like that as much, but he's improved in like the playmaking area and things like that. He had 31 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. The trouble was Joel Embiid coming back from the thumb surgery, struggled again, only 15 points, turned it over, what, 4 times? Forces it a lot. Does a lot of flopping on the defensive end, just doesn't look great. 6 of 21 from the floor, 1 of 3 from 3. He settles for that jumper a lot, that mid-range shot. Even goes out to the three-point line a good bit. I don't like what I'm seeing from Joel Embiid at all. Tyrese Maxey put in 15 points, 6 of 13. Didn't shoot the three well. Didn't have any assists either. He's got to be better. Hoping to distribute the ball, get it up the floor. Quick energy guy. They've got to figure out how they can stagger Maxey and Harden more, with Harden coming out, Maxey taking on that second unit with Anthony Melton. I think that would help things. Tobias Harris, 4 for 10 from the floor, 10 rebounds. I mean, he's solid, but he's more like a fourth option now. So it's kind of like you're paying a lot of money for a fourth option. He just doesn't look happy out there, to be honest. PJ Tucker comes in. If you're going to play PJ Tucker 39 minutes, it can't be 4 on 5 on offense. He basically gives you nothing offensively. Defensively, we know what he can bring, but if he gets 4 fouls, you can't really see it. So it's kind of like hard to evaluate things. Anthony Melton, solid as always. 9 points off the bench, 4 of 7 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. Just brings a good defensive presence, brings energy as a guard off the bench. But there's nothing else on this bench that's worth anything. Like Doc Rivers' rotations are the worst in the league by far. Like the way that his lineups are presented, the way he makes no adjustments. If the Sixers, like, yes, it's 2 games, I'm not going to overreact, but at the same time, this is going back to last season, Doc Rivers didn't adjust. So if Doc Rivers isn't going to adjust the offense and what they need at that given moment, then it's time for Doc Rivers to be let go. And whether it's Sam Cassell or you go Dave Yorger, like whoever takes that spot, like it's just it's got to be different. Like, for example, with the bench, he brings in Paul Reed, right, to play, and then all of a sudden, Paul Reed's a no-show, and they go back to Montrezl Harrell for offense, and Montrezl Harrell doesn't score, doesn't do anything. Like, he's a turnstile on defense, and then offensively, if he's not going to score and get dunks or lobs or whatever, putbacks, there's no reason for him to be on the floor. With Daniel House, he's a backup, and he's a backup for a reason. Like, really, he's a third string. He was a fringe guy last year that really got a chance because he's buddies with James Harden. That's all it comes down to it. Like, he was 2 for 4 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3, 4 points, 3 rebounds in 21 minutes. It's not enough. Like, where's Matisse Thybulle? Like, Thybulle plays 18 seconds, and you can't tell me his defense, even though, yes, he's a negative on offense, you can't tell me that his defense is not going to help on the wing, especially against the Milwaukee Bucks, who are thin because Chris Middleton isn't playing. So Thybulle would be perfect in this situation, and then he's improving his three-point shot. If you can get him a 3 in the corner, I'll take that look, just for the impact of his defense, having him on the floor. Now let's go over the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Giannis, fantastic. 21, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks. Fantastic. Brook Lopez, 12 of his 16 shots were threes. I get that Brook Lopez likes the three, but I felt like it was a little bit too much from three. He was chucking them up. It kind of cost them in some moments where he shot those. But more alarming was the 2 for 15 shooting from Drew Holiday, 0 for 6 from three. Yes, he had 8 assists to go with 6 points, but Holiday's got to shoot better, especially with Middleton out for a considerable amount of time. Bobby Portis comes in off the bench, 11 points, 10 rebounds. He's solid as always. George Hill comes in, and he is basically the 1 and the 2, kind of in a combo role off the bench. Decent. He gives you enough that he's not going to hurt you. I'd play him right now over Javon Carter, which is what Mike Budenholzer, wants to do in certain senses. But Javon Carter, started. So, what's up, Coach? Javon Carter starts, so that leaves Hill as the backup too. Javon Carter starting at the shooting guard spot. You could make a case that maybe Holiday essentially could have been the 2 in some spots, but more or less Holiday was the point guard. But Javon Carter starting gives them more defense with Pat Connaughton, and they wanted to have Wesley Matthews come off the bench kind of as a spark shooter, which he did hit a timely 3 with 23 seconds left to put the game away essentially for Milwaukee. Wesley Matthews, I'm always going to be a big fan of him defensively. Offensively, can shoot the 3 and stuff like that. Yeah, we're getting to those Lakers. That's coming up in a second. Serge Ibaka didn't really play much because Bobby Portis took most of the minutes. Jordan Nwora, 2 for 5. He's a spark of offense off the bench. Didn't do a lot in this one, but I like his potential going forward for this team and just how the makeup of the team is. Grayson Allen started in the smaller lineup. Allen actually had some timely buckets. He had a layup at one point on a cut. I thought that was pretty good. Didn't shoot it the greatest, 3 for 10 from the floor, but had 12 points. Solid enough of what you're getting out of the 2-guard spot. Essentially he played the 3, but, solid enough moving forward for them. Man, it's just sound the alarms in Philly if they potentially lose. They play Indiana and San Antonio. So what's up, Kerry? I think those will be 2 wins, and then everybody's going to be like, see, the Sixers are okay, and there's nothing wrong because Embiid's basically going to have, his way with both lineups as far as the bigs on each team, but it's not okay. Unless Doc Rivers makes some major adjustments, it's not okay. They've got to get a better bench. They're not coming out of the East like I predicted if it's going to be this way. Very disappointing. I think the only team that's more disappointing to me than the Sixers, in the East at least, is Brooklyn. But more so disappointing is the LA Lakers. They just can't seem to get it together. They go down in defeat to the LA Clippers. What's interesting in this one for the Lakers is, okay, so they go to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is feasting. Basically he had 25 points, 8 rebounds, right? Looking great. Well, he, takes a big spill on the floor, tweaks his back. You could tell he's gingerly running down the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know they need Anthony Davis in the game to win this one, right? Because nobody else, was doing anything inside like he could because he was getting anything he wanted. So I'm like, okay, I get you need him. But he's barely making it down the floor. Why are you risking him in game 2 to really injure that back and then potentially be out for 25 games or 30 games and your season implodes? Why would you do that? Take him out, let him get a heat pad on the back, let him do some therapy over the next day or two, and get him back right. Don't force him out there to get re-injured. You could re-injure a hip, you could re-injure anything. Like, yeah, like if exactly, coach, if you breathe on him, he gets hurt. He's like, what do they call him, Mr. Glass? Street clothes, like whatever you want to say. Like, I don't agree with dissing on players like that, but you know, at some point it's like, man, you just touch the guy and he blows over. Like, it's crazy. LeBron again, like looked like he was just pissed off. Like, let me go get my numbers, and I'm here with these guys. Like, I'll make do, but man, I'm not happy, and I'm gonna let the front office know that I'm not happy. Like, that's what it looks like to me. Like, I don't understand what the holdup is exactly. Like, make the trade for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. Like, I get not wanting to give up the picks, but guess what? If you hit on a player or two in the next 3 years, like say you get a young emerging player and you really find somebody in the draft that you want to go after, maybe you can salvage that player. Or Anthony Davis in a year or two. If LeBron decides that he wants to go somewhere else, if Bronny comes in and you want to move Anthony Davis and get multiple pieces, go get them. Like, you can get a first rounder elsewhere. Like, what are you doing? Like, Westbrook, I mean, I'll say this. I'm not a Westbrook fan, right? But defensively, he got steals. Two of them were stupid Paul George passes to Kawhi in the post. I'm like, you didn't even throw that pass right. That's not on Kawhi. You threw that straight to Westbrook that can still jump decently enough to steal that. That was dumb on Paul George 2 times. So defensively, Westbrook looked more active and engaged, but offensively, he is horrible. The IQ and the shot selection is what costs him. It's not the shooting, oh, he can't shoot. No, it's the type of shots he takes when he takes them. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me why Westbrook decides to take these awful shots like a pull-up three when you know you can't shoot threes. Pump fake, drive, dish it to somebody, reset, cut, score. Easy, like for him. Play off the ball and you can cut and get it back and try to finish. Like, it doesn't make sense. Patrick Beverley on the floor for defense gave nothing offensively. 1 for 7 from the floor. Like, 0 for 11 for Westbrook. Like, what the hell are you doing out there? Like, Kendrick Nunn gets 11 minutes. He goes 0 for 7. Like, I get he didn't have it, but he's usually your offensive spark. Thank God for Lonnie Walker in this matchup because the Lakers would have lost by 30 because he had 26 points, came out of nowhere. He shoots too many threes for me, personally. The Lakers themselves shoot too many threes for the lineup that they have. You had LeBron come out and say, oh, well, we're not a shooting team, that basically is a, team full of lasers. Well, then stop shooting threes. You're not going to make them with this team. Like, it's just not. Like, I can go and coach a high school team right now and know, all right, my guys aren't three-point shooters. They're going to have to be able to get in motion offense and be able to do different things, like cuts to the basket and find creative ways to score. When Matt Ryan, a fringe NBA player, is your best shooter on the team, like, that's saying something. Like, it's on the front office, but then it's on LeBron. Because LeBron nixed the Buddy Hield trade to begin with. LeBron wanted Westbrook essentially over DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan wouldn't solve everything, but I damn sure can tell you DeMar DeRozan would get you, if you had to retrade him, he'd get you more value right now than what Russell Westbrook could get you. Like, this team is made up, like Juan Toscano Anderson should be your third string power forward. There should be no reason. I get there's injuries, but there should be no reason he's on the floor as much as he is. Like, he's not giving you a positive value overall. Austin Reeves looks like a YMCA player on the floor right now. Like, he's not giving you anything. He's timid to shoot. He barely, has the ball in his hand to make a play. So why are you out there? Like, I get Thomas Bryant's injured, so they don't really have center depth. But they've got to go out and kind of restructure this offense. Oh, I didn't know you coached against DeMar DeRozan. I'm sure he was a beast. in high school. Um, with Cole Swider, like he can shoot. Let's see him get on the floor a little bit. I'd rather give some minutes to him if the team's not going to look good. Um, you know, what are you doing with the Clippers? They have the best idea of what to do, kind of with their lineups. They know Kawhi is coming back from injury. People can make fun of Kawhi, like, oh, Uncle Dennis, he's making it to where Kawhi doesn't want to play, all this stuff. No, they're smart. Save him for the playoffs where it matters. Why are you playing in game 2 37 minutes against a sorry Lakers team? Perfect example. Come off the bench, play 21 minutes, be effective down the stretch in spots. That's the perfect role for him. Paul George, 4 for 12 from the floor, 15 points. I didn't really like what I saw from Paul George, to be honest. Like, he had some moments, but overall, I thought he struggled and just looked out of rhythm. What saved them, to me, was John Wall being aggressive on offense. He was able to hit that mid-range pull-up time and time again. I like him better than Reggie Jackson in the starting lineup because John Wall is one of the best players at finding three-point shooters. So you give him the ball, let him spread it out, rather than Reggie Jackson with a sorry pull-up shot constantly. That's what he loves to do because he's like, oh man, I haven't got a shot in 3-4 possessions. Let me chuck this up. And sometimes it goes in, but other times it doesn't. Luckily for the Clippers, they had Ivica Zubac being able to get 17 rebounds, 5 blocks with 14 points. He was effective on dunks, cleanups, things like that. Luke Kennard coming off the bench, really shooting it well. That's why he was one of the best three-point shooters last year in the league. Robert Covington, offensively didn't look great, but defensively held spots, effectively, basically. Like Marcus Morris started. He looked good. 5 for 9 from the floor, 14 points, 4 rebounds. He didn't have to go and grab rebounds because Zubac had everything. Like, Kawhi comes in. Kawhi's just effective. 6 for 12, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists in 21 minutes. Kawhi played good defense, and he had timely decision making when it mattered. That's the difference with the Lakers. So LeBron just looks pissed off like he doesn't even want to play 10 minutes into the game. Like, man, we're down 7 or 8. Man, I ain't even doing this. And, let me go chase this, scoring over Kareem. Like, that's what he's out there for. Like, and I get that he's probably dissatisfied with management, but what is management going to do? Cave into LeBron and say, okay, we'll cave into you. Let's mortgage our future for 5 more years when you're going to be gone in 2. Like, why would you do that? So it doesn't make sense. But management also cannot wait until after Thanksgiving to make a trade. This team doesn't work. I don't give a damn who is the coach. You're not making it work. Phil Jackson could come back in his prime, and you're not going to make this roster work. It's just not happening. So make a trade, whether you move Westbrook to Utah and get some pieces back, or you do the Indiana trade. Like, something. Like with LeBron, I don't think you can trade LeBron because of the extension. I believe he's not eligible, but you could do it in the offseason. You could trade Anthony Davis at the trade deadline if you really wanted to go in a completely different direction if you're Jeanie Buss. Like, if I'm Jeanie Buss, like, I'm sorry, like, people shit on Magic as an advisor, but he said it time and time again, they got to build better pieces around the team. And I know he's a LeBron fan, but at the same time, you've got to piece this Lakers team together for now and the future. If you've got to take a step back by trading Anthony Davis and you get 3 or 4 quality pieces that you can build around, like say they got the opposite of like the Lonzo, Ingram, like package back, like those kind of pieces, like a really good young emerging star, a complementary piece that could be a 5th starter, a pick or 2, and then a younger guy off the bench that could be like a sharpshooter or something like that. Why not get that package for an Anthony Davis? There's tons of teams that would pay to go get Anthony Davis right now because he's 29. They don't care about him, missing games like that. And potentially, depending on the team, they might make it to where he can sit a little bit more and not have to do as much, so he's less likely to get injured. Like, that's their pathway ultimately out of this whole mess, is Anthony Davis getting moved, in my opinion, if they're going to keep LeBron and go forward. Westbrook obviously is going to be first. That deal has to happen regardless. Like I said, if it's Utah or it's the Pacers, something. But with the Lakers going forward, their schedule isn't the easiest either. Like, so it's gonna be interesting to kind of see what happens overall. Like, you get Portland next, like Dame Lillard and company are going to be hunting perimeter shots, and the Lakers can't defend. You got the Nuggets with Jokic and Murray and Porter Jr. Then you've got the Timberwolves, and how good they looked. The Nuggets again, then the Pelicans. They don't get a break until the Jazz. And the Jazz looked good last game. That doesn't mean they're going to be effective against the Lakers, but the Jazz aren't just going to hunch over and lose. Then you got the Cavs, the Jazz again, and then you start going into a tougher schedule with the Clippers, the Kings, the Nets, before you get to a break with the Pistons and Spurs. So by the time we get to November 20th, the Lakers could have, 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 wins, 6 wins tops, and then they would have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they'd be essentially 5-9 at that point. So, and that's on a good case scenario. Like, that's not good if you're a Lakers team because you're already behind in the West and you can't make up games just all of a sudden in the Western Conference. Like, winning over 35 games is going to be tough for this Lakers team. But that's around the NBA, for today. Like I said, easy 2-game slate, so wasn't a lot to dive into. Tonight we have a lot of games going on. The Pelicans take on Charlotte, San Antonio against Indiana, Chicago, Washington, Orlando, Atlanta, Toronto, Brooklyn. That's going to be the game I watch to see how good Brooklyn looks in the second game. They looked horrible too. Boston, Miami, Memphis, Houston, Detroit, New York, Utah, Minnesota. I think that's the one everybody's going to be tuning into is Utah and Minnesota because of Rudy Gobert going back. Denver, Golden State, Phoenix, and Portland. So big slate of games. I'm going to try to catch up on as much as I can. A few of them I'll have to do the condensed games the next day. But I'll have a wrap-up tomorrow morning. Wrapping up tomorrow's action. It'll be a longer video, obviously, with more games, but there'll be quicker wrap-ups. I was able to do more dialogue for each team in this one just because of the shorter time frame. If you like this content, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a few friends about the channel. I'm going to do daily NBA around the NBA wrap-ups. Also, 2K, if they have an update this morning, any retro stuff, any current team stuff, I will be back and do a video as I can in between some work stuff. So appreciate everybody watching. Hope everybody has a great rest of their day, rest of the weekend, and I will talk to you next time.